Hello, welcome back to Steve's Vintage Mono Builds. Here again, coming to you from the Philippines, and it's rained today. Got a bit of a monsoon, rain for a day or two, but nothing major. It's going to go away, and got a little time on my hands, and decided to make another video as events are fast proceeding uh, on the Syrian front, or arena, one might say. A couple things just to introduce. Um, as I said, events are moving quickly, and I'll go through a little summary of those, along with uh, I'm going to start with talking a little bit about Jordan. This has come out in the last day or so. I didn't mention it in my previous video, although I should have and meant to, but I didn't. But I did mention it to Peter Oxley in a personal message that I sent to him. Hope you're well, Peter. Hope everything's great. And shout out too to all my friends and subscribers. A couple of people I forgot the last time. Ange Kovo, Ange, love you. As well as Betty at Pretirement Days. She has a YouTube channel, mostly cooking, but she's a collector of knickknacks and some very interesting things. And she's a dear, sweet woman. And so I'll put a link on this video. Like I say, she does mostly cooking, down home American cooking. You may find that of interest. Love you, Betty, and never miss a video, or at least I hope not. Got my glasses back, and very pleased with them. And I apologize for the glare. Hopefully, I can keep that down to a minimum. And I'm also using a new selfie stick, which I'm not going to show you. Selfie stick and tripod that I got specifically for the Japan trip. Excuse me. And yeah, it's got a light, it's got a remote control, and it's adjustable up to, I think it's about 2 feet. And so, anyways, cost me $9, $9 Canadian on Amazon, free Prime shipping. So yeah, looks like a great little product here, and better than leaning my phone up against the wall. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to start by talking about Jordan, which, along with obviously Israel, Jordan shares a very long border with Syria. And for those who might not be aware, Jordan, along with Egypt, is a signatory to the Camp David Accords, which made historic peace with Israel. And excuse me. And although uneasy at times, it's actually a fairly solid alliance. They do cooperate. And Jordan also assisted during the massive missile assault earlier this year by Iran. So I'm going to start by talking about Jordan, as I said. Uh, Jordan's fairly weak, um, like a lot of regimes in the area, and they've got problems with Palestinians. I won't go into the whole thing, just look up Black September, and you'll begin to understand why no one wants the Palestinians, or the Arabs who live in two small enclaves of a place that used to be called Palestine. Palestine no longer exists. It's a fantasy, a demented fantasy. In any case, I'm not going to get into all that because I don't want to get into trouble with the YouTube algorithms. So we're just going to try and keep it factual here. So a long border with Syria, and quite vulnerable. However, this whole situation presents a really great opportunity for Jordan and Israel to strengthen ties, and excuse me, and along with the alliance, and help to bring the desperately needed peace to the region. So hopefully Jordan will step up and Israel will help along with the United States. Don't need to tell everybody, new sheriff in town on the 20th, and we're already seeing the effects of his of Mr. Trump's election, and mostly positive effects. Sleepy Joe's out the door pretty much, and everybody's pretty much taken the lead uh, from what Mr. Trump said his policies will be. The other thing is, there are still those in the deep state, which is ominous sounding. We used to call it an entrenched bureaucracy when I was studying foreign affairs in college. But yes, they call it the deep state. There's lots of other words for it, but it's an entrenched bureaucracy that always seeks to do things its way, as opposed to the duly elected, democratically elected leadership. And the biggest problem there is the State Department. So, anyways, again, it presents a great opportunity. There are numerous opportunities. I sounded kind of negative, I was negative about prospects for Syria in particular, but I'm more positive about Lebanon. Syria was Syria Syria was the major conduit for weapons and drugs coming from Iran through Iraq and into Lebanon to support the Hezbollah Islamofascists. They're pretty much crushed now. The so-called Iran axis of evil is disintegrating before our eyes, and I expect, hopefully, before too long, the regime there will fall just as it fell for Hezbollah and Assad. Can't make a prediction on that though, because you never know. On that note as well, reports have come out that the senior leadership of the Iran Revolutionary Guard and the Quds Force are at each other's throats, blaming each other, kicking each other, kicking trash cans, screaming and yelling, pointing fingers and blaming, blah, 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 which is a good thing. Yeah. So that's that as far as that goes. Now, down to Syria. First of all, we'll talk about Israel's recent activities. They have, over the last couple of days, few days since the actual fall, they have launched well over 300 airstrikes against Syrian military bases, ISIS camps, other Islamofascist groups. They pretty much destroyed the Syrian Air Force, and along with air attacks and missile boat attacks, they have destroyed the Syrian Navy as well. The Russians have departed their naval base, or their leased naval base at Tartus, and they're in the process of running away, I guess, to Turkey, from where I expect they will board charter flights direct to Ukraine so that they can be put into the meat waves there. Jazzy over at UNTV, Ukraine News TV, he calls them Russian attacks. I call it Ukrainian target practice. It's ridiculous. I mean, they've lost 750,000 men, and probably some women, and that's just killed. That doesn't include the wounded. They're losing 1,300, 1,200, well over 1,000 every single day, and it's another reason why Russia's on the verge of collapse. The ruble's collapsing. They have no more foreign reserves to prop it up. China seems to be rather indifferent, as I mentioned in my previous video, and and I'm sure that the Putin isn't very happy that the Assad regime has fallen, although he's provided him with asylum, and may soon be offering former President Assad some delicious Colombian tea. Either that, or he'll be defenestrated. So that's as far as that goes with the Russians. They're out. Just as with Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Iranians poured billions, if not more, over the years into Syria, propping up the regime and ensuring that they have that conduit. And now they're finding it's all falling apart, all for naught, which is a very good thing. And anyone who thinks it isn't a good thing, you're welcome to leave a comment and then leave. Bye. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm gonna. Israel's taken the opportunity, in its own protection defense, to make a number of moves. The most significant of which is they've taken over the Syrian side of Mount Hermon, which is just north of the Golan Heights. It actually is part of the Golan region. Actually, I think it's technically, geographically, the northern point of the Golan Heights, which some of my friends will know I'm quite familiar with, or I was quite familiar with. In any case, so they've taken over the Syrian side. It had been part of a buffer zone that was supposed to be monitored by UNDOF, the observation force, which has now pretty much been absorbed into UNIFIL. And we all know about UNIFIL and how useless and worse than useless they've been in Lebanon. However, they had they had abandoned the whole area and their mission there, and scurried off to Lebanon. So for their own protection, Israel has reoccupied that area on a temporary basis, according to Prime Minister Netanyahu, in order to ensure their security. There have also been some reports. The first came out in Arabic media, which, of course, we shouldn't entirely trust. But apparently, Israeli tanks have been spotted 25 kilometers south of Damascus. And now, don't get your knickers all in knot about that. I think that's, if it is true, and it was confirmed by one security source in Syria and two others in Israel, who, of course, were anonymous. But the IDF has denied it. If it is true, I think it's strictly a defensive move as well as a message to the rebels, or to whatever we want to call them, to say, you better just stop at Damascus, okay? Just stop at Damascus. All right. So so back to the Golan. So they've retaken they've retaken Mount Hermon, and anyone who had any illusions or hopes, wishes, whatever, that the Golan would be returned to Syria, not going to happen. The U.S. has already recognized Israeli sovereignty, and they're there for a good reason. And so, in any case, so that's as far as that goes. And I'm going to try and move this. I'm going to switch the view here. Switch the view if I can. There we go. Okay. Here's the map. Okay. Can you see the map? Yes, we have visual aids today. Okay. So here's the map. Here's the Golan Heights right here. Can you see that? Am I doing that? Yeah. There's the Golan Heights, and Mount Hermon is about here. and this is where Damascus is. Yes, there we go. Okay, and if you want, if that's from the ISW, a great resource. So if you want to look up ISW, the Institute for the Study of War, you can review that map, and also they do expert analysis um, on various conflicts throughout the world. In addition to all these moves, Prime Minister Netanyahu has indicated that he welcomes, obviously, welcomes the fall of Assad, and also extended the hand. He said that, for those who want to make peace, we will make peace, and for those who don't want to make peace, we'll cut off your hand. Literally, that's what he said. He said, we offer the hand of peace to those who wish to make peace. For those who wish to attack us, we will cut your hands off. Hopefully the right one first, and leave them only with the left. And I won't go into that. Uh, Anyone who knows the Arab world will know that having the right hand cut off is a pretty terrible thing. They eat with the right hand, and well, let me put it this way: they eat only with the right hand because they use the left hand to clean up after the waste of the food they ate with their right hand. So that's why one of the most severe punishments in the Arab world is to cut off the left hand, or sorry, the right hand. Can't eat. Anyways, enough of that. Okay, so Netanyahu has said that he will make peace, as he has. The Israelis have made peace and kept peace, both with Jordan and with Egypt. Just as a kind of an aside, Egypt is pretty much out of the game. With the Houthis closing down the Suez Canal and the Red Sea, um, their economy's in shambles. They have their own internal problems, and so it's kind of precarious there. But they are enormously weak, and of no concern at this point in time, really. The other thing was that, as I said, Netanyahu extended the hand of peace. However, the Islamofascist rebels who seem to be so far in charge have said they're going to march on Jerusalem. And for those, now, I take that with more than a grain of salt. I think it's just, the usual purple prose bluster that we get from these types. But at the same time, they're nuts, and they're unpredictable. So, anyways, if that it truly is their intention and they act on it, then as Rocky said, go for it. Just go for it. Yeah. So on the diplomatic front, everybody's making the usual noises about a new dawn for Syria, and putting together a new constitution, assisted by the UN, and just as we see, you know, I, except for Cyprus, I have great difficulty recalling a time when, um, other than the Suez crisis, when a UN peacekeeping mission was actually successful. So, but yeah, Blinken, is sort of UN-led, inclusive, blah 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 blah. When he said inclusive, I wasn't sure what he was talking about. In Syria, there's Sunni Muslims, I think. I'm not sure, but there's also large populations of Christians, Jews, or sorry, Druze. Of course, they kicked out the Jews a long time ago. There's your ethnic cleansing for you, along with most of the other Muslim nations in the region. Um, so that's where that's at. And back to Israel's military actions over there. It's been estimated now that they've eliminated um, anywhere between 70 and 80% of the uh, military capabilities of the former Syrian regime, including destroying chemical weapons plants, um, along with other missile factories, and so on and so forth. So Iran's seeing its investments go up in smoke. Uh, that has, you know, my greatest hope really is well, twofold. As I said in the okay. As I said as I said earlier, my greatest hope is that Jordan will be strengthened through a peaceful alliance and with Israel, and and it really does give Lebanon an opportunity. Hopefully, the Lebanese will take the opportunity now that Hezbollah is pretty much done to take back their country. And again, there are a lot of excuse me, a lot of different groups, ethnic groups there. Again, not many Jews because they kicked them all out. Um, and yeah, so they're a multicultural society, and you know, Lebanon used to be a wonderful, beautiful secular place until uh, Black September and Jordan exiled the PLO and the rest of their ilk to Lebanon, which they proceeded to ruin, like they do everything and everywhere they go. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for today. Kind of short and sweet, and like me. So yeah, events are moving quickly. Israel's doing what it needs to do to protect itself and to make sure that the message is clear that uh, their enemies better think twice before they try to take advantage of this situation. Um, and again, going back to Jordan a bit, as well as my previous analysis, it was gratifying, in particular, the two Jonathans, Jonathan Shancer and Jonathan Conricus. Uh, um, they pretty much have the same concerns, expressed the same concerns, and provided the same analysis as I did. Uh, they're much smarter than me, but it's not really rocket science. So, in any case, love you guys, both of you. You're great. Shancer is, and I think Jonathan Conricus too. They're both senior fellows at the Center for Defense of Democracy, a U.S. think tank. And also, if you're interested in some deep dive analysis, um, uh, check out Israel's TV7 News, hosted by Jonathan Hessen. So it's the three Jonathans. It's not just two. Jonathan was pretty famous Hebrew guy, Jewish guy. So um, do have okay. Well, I'll keep it to 30 minutes, and so I have a few minutes still, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Gaza and the history of Gaza. Um, the Romans had called it Philistia. Originally, it was part of the ancient kingdom of Israel and Judah, um, but Philistia, yes, that's the name the Romans gave it, and they took it from the Greek, um, just as they did Palestina. And the Philistines were Europeans. They were Aegean Europeans in what we now call Greece. And those people disappeared long ago, um, long ago. Uh, and obviously, they were a major rival of Israel, um, back, way back when. And we all know the story of David and Goliath and the Philistines and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, yeah, they left long ago, and it for quite a while was actually administered. The area was administered by Egypt. The Arabs who live in the area, of course, the Arab conquest of the region occurred in 632 CE, Common Era, or as we used to say, AD. And but there weren't very many of them, and the most of the Arabs who are there now were labor that was imported in the 19th century and the early 20th century uh, to build the Suez Canal as well as other projects. So they were imported labor. So and anybody who has the idea that they've been there for 1,000 years or 10,000, 5,000 years or however many years you want to call it, no, it's not true. A couple centuries at most of them. Not to say that there aren't Arabs who have been there for an awfully long time, but there were 0 Arabs there before 632. Muslims, same thing. Or might get in trouble for that, but shall we say Arab Muslims. It was a Muslim conquest in 632. And just to close it up, you know, we know from a lot of history that the Jewish people have been in that region for an awfully long time, 3, 4 millennia. Excuse me. They were there when Alexander the Great conquered the land in 336 BCE. They were still there when the Romans conquered the area. And they were still there when the Muslim Arabs arrived. And they're still there today. So that counts for something. So that's a little bit of history encapsulated for you. Anybody who tells you different is wrong. So there we go. And I do have a couple more minutes. So I mentioned in the previous video about the Great Flood, since we're kind of talking about that kind of thing. Excuse me. The predominant theory, and the geology bears this out, is that originally the Black Sea was much smaller, and it was fed by mostly, it was fresh water. It wasn't a sea, it was more of a lake. It was fresh water fed by melting glaciers after or at the end of the last ice age. And depending on how much outflow there was from those, it got bigger, got smaller, and so on. But it had always been fresh water. And now there was a period, I think it was the Holocene period, I think, at the end of the last ice age. And the Laurentide ice shelf, which covered most of Canada at the time, collapsed. It melted. It melted and collapsed, and all the water that was behind it flowed out into the ocean and raised the world's sea levels significantly, including the Mediterranean Sea. And this led to what I believe, again, it's one of 3 theories, and I believe it really is the most predominant and logical theory, that this puts stress on the Bosporus Shelf, which is the Bosporus is the strait between the Dardanelles. That's the two points of land on either side. Again, we're back to Gallipoli and the Dardanelles. Water from the Mediterranean Sea had previously been held back by the Bosporus Shelf, but the rising sea levels overtopped it, and it eventually collapsed. The geology tells us that the inflow from the Mediterranean Sea, as a result, lasted for 300 days or more, and created what is now the Black Sea, the saltwater sea. And again, since that time, it's gotten bigger, it's gotten smaller. It's perfectly natural for sea levels to rise and fall, whether it's regardless of the reason. So yeah, so that's a bit of history as far as that is concerned. And if people want to say stuff about the Bible, well, the Bible, hmm, yeah, the Bible shouldn't be taken literally. I might get in trouble with some people over that. Um, but it does provide some historical chronicles, along with uh, a great deal of wisdom. So, excuse me. So we shouldn't entirely discount what we read in the Bible and what's been presented in the Bible, but always take it from the all history contains an element of embellishment, fiction, whatever you want to call it, and it should really be treated no differently. It should still be respected though. In any case, so I don't want to get myself in any more trouble over that. I may do an entirely separate video on that kind of thing. I'm not a religious person, uh, but okay, I'm gonna jump right in here. Okay, all right. So for all the science types who you know, okay, physicists even call the Big Bang now. Many physicists call the Big Bang, which was neither. Um, it was little, and there was no sound. Um, they now call it the creation moment. Um, and if you look at Genesis in the Bible and what it says about the creation, there's nothing really that is incompatible with science. If you kind of rise above the allegory, um, it's pretty accurate about what happened. There was a moment when the universe was created, the universe expanded, galaxies, planets, etc., formed, light, dark, water, all that kind of stuff. So you don't. It's not right to entirely dismiss that kind of thing. But anyways, enough of it. Hope everyone's well. Special thanks to all my subscribers. I seem to have lost one, but that might just have been somebody cleaning up their subscriptions, or it might have been something to do with this. Sorry to see you go. In any case. All right, so yeah, that's it for today, and thanks for stopping in. I really appreciate everybody's time. Hope you find it useful. I think I managed a few less ums and ahs uh, than last time, along with not making mistakes about who's the husband and who's the wife. Yes, yeah, that was kind of embarrassing. I hope my sister-in-law doesn't see that. I called her Oliver's husband. She's Oliver's wife. And she's a Lola, a grandma, not a Lolo, which is a grandpa. Anyways, shout out to all you. Love you. It's been nothing but wonderful to be here with you all. And counting down the days now for Japan. Looking forward to that. Okay, so under 35 minutes. I lied a bit. Call me Joe Biden. Anyways, so thanks again for joining in. And one other quick thing I wanted to mention. I talked about the dictators and tyrants making sure that the regular military was weak, um, and relying on the internal security forces or the elite, uh, so-called elite, as it was said one time, uh, military forces. This is a hallmark of tyrants um, and dictators, and I see it happening in Canada too. Our military is disgracefully weak. It's been disgracefully weakened, not only by DEI, but by bureaucratic incompetence and political indifference, especially in the last 9 years. Um, and I see the same thing happening in the United Kingdom as well. So beware, watch these things. It is important. So hopefully we can turn it around, and with with the help of President-elect Trump, it can be turned around. And one last thing, just hit 35 minutes. I want to just a brief comment and a shout out to our Jewish brothers and sisters. I am not Jewish, okay, but if you haven't already figured out, I have a great affinity for Jewish people and the Israelis. I have great respect for them. And what happened in Australia recently with the arson and fire set at a synagogue in which people were meeting to pray in Australia, it's an absolute disgrace. The government's response has been an absolute disgrace. Particularly, this is the culmination of indifference over the past year. And excuse me. Hopefully, Australia and same things going on in Australia with the military there. Same situation. Although they're much farther away from a police state than others may be. All right. So again, shout out to all of you there. We're with you in spirit. I'm with you in spirit, and all good and decent, civilized people should be as well. So thanks again, and have a great day. Bye now.